"Daddy, I brought you a present for Christmas," said the little girl, pointing at the Chinese widow. Mark Thompson never thought December could feel this heavy. A whole year had passed since he lost his wife, and yet every step he took still carried the weight of her absence. The world around him moved forward, cars hummed along the street, neighbors hung lights on their roofs, and the soft glow of decorated windows filled the neighborhood. But inside his heart, time felt slow and quiet. He lived in a peaceful suburb, a place that once felt warm and full of life, but now seemed unfamiliar, as if the colors that once brightened his days had faded into softer shades. His house stood on the corner of Maple Lane, a small two-bedroom home with a white fence and a small garden in front. It used to be full of sound. His wife, Emma, had loved Christmas more than any other season. She decorated the house in early December, baking cookies while singing holiday songs with their daughter, Lily. Mark would come home from work to the smell of sugar and cinnamon and find the two of them dancing in the kitchen. Those memories were warm, but remembering them now made his chest feel tight. 7-year-old Lily, however, still carried a soft glow inside her. Her mother's kindness lived in her eyes and her cheerful smiles. Even though she missed her mother deeply, she tried every day to make her father smile. She would slip small drawings under his door in the morning or leave notes in his coat pocket that said things like, "Daddy, smile today," in big round letters. She didn't fully understand the depth of Mark's grief, but she felt it, like a quiet sadness that filled the house. Every morning, Mark walked Lily to school. They would pass through their neighborhood, where children played with snow patches and families set up decorations outside. Along the way, there was a small shop owned by a woman named Mei Lin. Her store sold handmade items, little wooden toys, candles, scarves, and beautiful ornaments painted with delicate patterns. The shop window always had something new on display, though Mark rarely paid attention to it anymore. His mind was usually elsewhere, lost in responsibilities, memories, and the quiet ache he carried every day. But Lily noticed everything. She was curious by nature, a bright spark of life in a world that often felt dim to her father. She noticed the woman who sat inside the shop in the evenings, sometimes sipping tea, sometimes writing in a small notebook. The woman always sat alone. She had soft eyes and a gentle expression, though there was something lonely about her, something that reminded Lily of the way her father sometimes looked when he thought she wasn't paying attention. One cold afternoon, while walking home from school, Lily stopped in front of the shop window. Snowflakes drifted down from the sky, settling on her coat and hair. Inside, Mei Lin looked up and noticed the little girl peeking inside. She smiled warmly, giving a small wave. Surprised but pleased, Lily waved back. Later that week, when school let out early, Lily found herself standing in front of the shop again. She hesitated for a moment, then slowly pushed the door open. A soft bell chimed as she stepped inside. The shop was quiet, warm, and filled with comforting scents, like lavender, jasmine, and newly polished wood. Colorful objects filled the shelves, each arranged neatly with care. Mei Lin looked up from behind the counter, surprised but happy to see her. She had a calm presence, the kind that made the room feel peaceful. "Hello there," Mei Lin said gently. "Are you looking for something special?" Lily shook her head shyly. "No, I just wanted to look." She glanced around with big, curious eyes, touching nothing but admiring everything. She felt safe there, like she could breathe without thinking so hard. Mei Lin nodded and offered her a warm cup of tea, but not the hot kind adults drank. This tea was sweet, almost like warm juice with a soft, fruity smell. Lily accepted it with both hands, smiling shyly as she took a sip. It warmed her stomach instantly. "You can stay as long as you like," Mei Lin said. From that day on, Lily stopped by the shop often. Sometimes for a few minutes, sometimes longer. She learned that Mei Lin had moved from China several years earlier with her husband, who sadly passed away soon after. Just like Lily's father, Mei Lin lived alone now. She ran the shop by herself, and though she was strong and independent, the quiet evenings often made her feel lonely. Lily didn't know the full details, and she didn't ask. She only knew that Mei Lin had a kindness that felt familiar, like the way her mother used to speak softly or brush her hair behind her ear. The warmth in the shop felt like a hidden little world, simple, calm, and full of good stories. Mei Lin told her stories about her childhood, festivals, and traditions. She taught her how to fold paper into tiny birds and stars. She gave Lily small treats, like a candy wrapped in gold paper or a small origami flower. Lily loved visiting. She would sit on a soft stool near the counter, listening with wide eyes as Mei Lin's voice carried through the quiet shop. Meanwhile, at home, Mark noticed the difference. Lily came home each day looking happier, as if she carried a secret light inside her. He saw her humming again while washing her hands or arranging her school things. She even began drawing Christmas pictures again, something she stopped doing after her mother passed away. Mark wondered about it sometimes, but he didn't ask many questions. He felt tired most days, juggling work, errands, and trying to be both mother and father. If anything made Lily smile, he didn't want to interrupt it. But in quiet moments, when he sat alone at the dining table, he couldn't help but wonder how he could bring joy back into their lives. He wanted to make Christmas special for Lily, but even buying gifts felt overwhelming. The holiday season, which once brought laughter and comfort, now reminded him of the empty seat at the table, the missing laughter in the house, and the silence that grew louder each night. Lily sensed her father's sadness even when he tried to hide it. She had a tender heart and noticed small things, how long he stared at the living room where the Christmas tree used to be, or how he sighed when looking through old photographs. She wanted to help him, but she didn't know how. She was only 7. What could she possibly do to lift the heavy sadness he carried? Still, she believed that kindness could change things. Her mother had always told her, when someone feels sad, sometimes they just need a warm moment to remind them they are not alone. Lily remembered those words clearly. The friendship she had begun with Mei Lin felt like one of those warm moments. Mei Lin had nobody to spend her evenings with, yet she greeted Lily with the same gentle smile every time. And Lily felt peaceful there, like she had found a hidden corner of the world where the sadness in her heart didn't feel so heavy. As the first week of December passed, the neighborhood grew brighter with lights and decorations. Stores played cheerful music, children built snowmen, and families carried Christmas trees home. The world felt festive, but inside Mark's house, everything remained quiet. One Saturday evening, while Lily colored at the coffee table, Mark sat on the couch staring at a small Christmas ornament he found in a drawer. It was shaped like a tiny snowflake, one Emma had bought during their first Christmas as a family. He held it gently, turning it in his hand, lost in thought. "Daddy," Lily's voice broke the silence. "Yes, sweetheart. Do you think Christmas can still be nice even if things are different?" Mark looked at her. She had paused mid-drawing, her small face serious, her eyes hopeful. His heart tightened. He knew she missed her mother deeply. He knew she wanted Christmas to feel special again. "I hope so," he said softly, trying to smile. "We can try." Lily nodded, but she could tell the answer didn't come easily for him. She wished she could do more, something bigger, something that would help her father feel less lonely. She thought about Mei Lin sitting alone in her shop every evening. She thought about her father sitting alone at the dining table. They were both kind people, both gentle, both carrying heavy hearts. And Lily, with her simple but hopeful mind, wished she could make both of them feel less alone. As the days passed, Lily began to imagine a plan forming slowly in her heart. She didn't know exactly what it would become yet, but it started with one small thought. Maybe the best gift is not something wrapped in a box. Maybe the best gift is someone who understands your heart. She didn't say this out loud, but she carried the thought with her as she walked to school, as she sat in the shop, and as she watched her father try his best every day. And little did she know, that thought would soon grow into something that would change all 3 of their lives. Ever since Lily began visiting the little shop on her way home, a new warmth entered her daily routine. It wasn't dramatic or loud. It was soft, like a gentle candle glowing in the corner of a quiet room. She didn't tell her father much about it, not because she wanted to hide anything, but because she liked keeping some moments just for herself. They were happy moments, simple but special. The shop became a second little world for her. It smelled like fresh wood, warm tea, and something floral that drifted through the air. Every time Lily pushed open the door, the tiny bell above it chimed like it was greeting her by name. And every time, Mei Lin would look up with a pleasant smile, as if she had been waiting for her. One afternoon, the sky was filled with soft gray clouds, and the air had a chill that made Lily tuck her scarf closer to her neck. She walked the familiar path toward the shop, her boots crunching through thin layers of snow on the sidewalk. When she opened the door, the warmth inside wrapped around her like a blanket. "You're early today," Mei Lin said kindly, setting down a paintbrush she had been using. "School finished early again?" Yes, Lily replied, removing her gloves. We had a winter singing practice, but it ended sooner than the teacher thought. Mei Lin smiled. That sounds lovely, Lily shrugged. It was okay. I don't like singing in front of people. I like listening better. I understand. Sometimes listening is more peaceful, Mei Lin replied gently. Would you like some warm tea? Lily nodded eagerly. She loved the tea here, not because it tasted fancy, but because Mei Lin always prepared it with such care. She poured the warm, lightly sweet drink into a small cup and handed it to Lily with both hands, as if offering a treasure. As Lily sipped the tea, her eyes wandered over the shop. Today, the shelves were filled with new items. Soft scarves in shades of blue and red, tiny carved animals made from smooth wood, and ornaments painted with winter scenes. One ornament caught Lily's attention in particular, a round wooden piece with a delicate design of a snowy village carved into it. It's beautiful, Lily whispered. Mei Lin followed her gaze and nodded. I made those this week. They take time, but I enjoy the quiet that comes with working on them. Lily tilted her head. Do you get lonely here? The question slipped out before she realized how direct it sounded. She worried she might have asked something too personal, but Mei Lin didn't seem upset. She simply paused for a moment, her eyes softening. Sometimes, she answered, not hiding anything. The shop is peaceful, but peaceful places can also feel a little empty when there is no one to share them with. Lily thought about that. It reminded her of her father sitting at the kitchen table alone, staring at the same mug of coffee every morning. She felt a tiny ache in her chest, the kind that made her want to do something kind but not knowing what. You're not lonely when I'm here, Lily said softly. Mei Lin's smile grew warmer. No, when you're here, the place feels brighter. That simple exchange deepened their bond in a way neither of them needed to explain. It was an understanding made of gentle honesty, something felt rather than spoken. Over the next several days, their routine became steady. Lily would come into the shop, share stories about school, learn to make tiny origami shapes, and listen to Mei Lin's memories of her childhood in China. The stories were simple but magical to Lily. They were filled with lantern festivals, moon cakes, and traditions that felt like they belonged in a storybook. One day, Lily asked, Do you have family here? Mei Lin shook her head. No, my family is far away. I came here with my husband, but after he passed, I stayed. I didn't want to leave the life we built or the dreams we planned. Oh, Lily said softly, not knowing exactly how to respond, but feeling a deep sense of care. Mei Lin noticed the little girl's thoughtful expression and gently touched her hair. Life gives us quiet chapters and bright chapters. This one is quiet for me, but meeting you has been a bright part. Lily smiled at that, and something inside her brightened too. Meanwhile, at home, Mark began noticing the changes more clearly. Lily returned home with a spark in her eyes, humming soft tunes or carrying small paper shapes in her pockets. She seemed lighter, almost as if something good was guiding her days. One evening, as they sat at the dinner table, Mark finally asked, You've been really happy lately. Did anything special happen at school? Lily took a bite of her dinner, thinking for a moment. She hesitated, not because she wanted to hide the shop, but because she didn't know how to explain something so gentle and simple and important at the same time. Not at school, she said honestly. I just met someone nice. Mark raised an eyebrow. A new friend? Kind of, Lily said. She owns a shop near school. I stop there sometimes. Mark blinked, surprised. He didn't expect that answer. A shop owner. Her name is Mei Lin, Lily explained. She's very kind. She tells stories and makes pretty things. Mark wasn't sure how to react. He wasn't upset. He just didn't know much about this woman. And as a father, uncertainty naturally made him feel cautious. Is she careful with you? Does she treat you well? He asked gently. Yes, Lily replied with wide eyes. She's really, really nice. I feel happy there. Mark took a slow breath on Lily's face. If something made her smile like that, maybe it wasn't something to worry about. Well, he eventually said, if she's good to you, I'm glad you have a place you feel comfortable. Just make sure you come straight home afterward, okay? I will, Lily promised. Mark smiled at her. Then that's fine. But later that night, as he washed the dishes, a small thought stuck in his mind. A shop owner, a woman alone, a stranger who had unknowingly become part of his daughter's daily life. He wasn't suspicious, just curious and slightly worried. The world was big, and he wanted Lily safe. He made a mental note to eventually walk inside the shop himself to introduce himself properly. But life got busy, and days passed faster than he expected. Meanwhile, Lily's connection with Mei Lin grew stronger. She learned how to fold paper cranes, how to paint tiny flowers on smooth stones, and how tea leaves changed flavor depending on how long they sat in the water. She learned stories about lanterns that floated into the sky and wishes whispered into the night. One afternoon, Lily entered the shop with her shoulders slumped. Mei Lin immediately noticed. "What happened today?" she asked softly. Lily sighed. "Some kids laughed at my drawing in class. They said it looked silly." Mei Lin knelt beside her. "Do you think it looks silly?" "No," Lily replied quietly. "I liked it." "Then that is what matters," Mei Lin said. "Art is not about making everyone happy. It's about telling your own story." Lily's face brightened at those words. She hugged Mei Lin suddenly, surprising both of them. But the hug felt right, and Mei Lin gently hugged her back. The days grew colder as Christmas approached. The neighborhood grew brighter with decorations, but inside the shop, the light came from the warmth between the little girl and the lonely shop owner. Mark, unaware of the growing bond, went about his daily routine. He worked at the local office, came home exhausted, and tried to prepare simple meals for himself and Lily. He still carried the ache of missing Emma, though he tried not to let it show too much. He didn't know that his daughter was slowly forming a connection that would shape their future. One day, early in December, something happened that brought the hidden threads of their story closer together. As Lily sat in the shop making tiny paper stars, she looked up at Mei Lin and said, "My daddy is really lonely." Mei Lin paused, her hands still holding the delicate paper she was folding. She looked at Lily with gentle concern. "Is he?" "Yes," Lily said softly. "He tries to smile, but sometimes he looks sad. He doesn't talk about it, but I can tell." Mei Lin nodded slowly, understanding too well what loneliness looked like. "I wish I could give him a present to make him happy," Lily continued, "but I don't know what." "Maybe he needs company," Mei Lin said thoughtfully. "Sometimes the best gifts are people who listen and care." Lily thought deeply about this. A spark lit up inside her heart, small but steady. It grew into an idea, though she didn't share it yet. It was something she needed to think about, something that needed time to become clear. As she walked home that day, snowflakes fell gently around her, landing on her gloves and coat. She looked up at the sky, her breath forming small white clouds. She thought about her father sitting alone at the dinner table. She thought about Mei Lin sitting alone after the shop closed. In her young heart, a quiet wish formed. What if two lonely people didn't have to be lonely anymore? But she didn't know how to make such a thing happen, not yet. She only knew that she wanted to try. She wanted to bring comfort to the two people who had given her kindness in different ways. Her father with his endless care and Mei Lin with her gentle warmth. She didn't understand adult problems, but she understood feelings. And she believed that kindness, when shared, could change lives. She walked the rest of the way home with determination in her steps, even though she didn't know exactly what she was planning. All she knew was this: Christmas was coming. And sometimes the best gifts were not found in stores or wrapped with ribbons. Sometimes the best gifts were made of hope, kindness, and a wish to bring hearts together. Lily didn't tell her father or Mei Lin about her growing idea. She needed to figure out how to make it real. But the thought stayed with her, humming quietly in her mind like a song waiting to be sung. And with each passing day, the idea grew stronger. The idea that had started as a tiny spark in Lily's mind was beginning to grow, slowly but surely, like a small candle flame that refused to go out. She thought about it during class, while drawing, while brushing her teeth, and even while lying in bed at night staring at the soft glow of her nightlight. The thought felt warm, hopeful, and important, even though she didn't know exactly how to put it into action. She knew two things for certain. As Christmas got closer, the town grew brighter with lights and holiday music. Every home had wreaths, glowing decorations, and cheerful sounds drifting out through windows. But for Lily, the most magical place remained the little shop where she had grown close to Mei Lin. It was a place where worries faded and gentle stories filled the air. One day after school, Lily sat at the small counter while Mei Lin arranged a new set of ornaments on a wooden display. The ornaments were shaped like stars, hand-painted with tiny patterns that made them look delicate and special. "Those are pretty," Lily said, swinging her legs lightly as she watched. "Thank you," Mei Lin replied with a soft smile. "I made them for people who want something simple but meaningful for the holidays." Lily took one of the stars gently in her hands, turning it slowly. The painting looked peaceful, like it held a tiny story inside it. Do you ever spend Christmas with someone? Lily asked suddenly. Mei Lin paused and looked thoughtful. Not usually, she answered. I spend the day quietly. I cook something simple and read a book or make new crafts. It's calm, but sometimes calm can feel a little empty. Lily nodded. My dad feels empty on Christmas too, she said quietly. Mei Lin looked at her with gentle concern. Does he tell you that? No, Lily answered. But I can tell Mom loved Christmas. She made it so big and fun, but after she went away, Christmas became quiet. Daddy tries to make it nice, but he still seems sad. Warm sympathy filled Mei Lin's eyes. She didn't push for more details, but she understood deeply. She knew how holidays could amplify the quietness in one's life. For a moment, the room felt still and tender. Then Lily whispered, I wish I could give him something that would help him. What do you think he needs most? Mei Lin asked softly. Lily thought about it. Someone to talk to, someone kind, someone who understands. Mei Lin smiled gently but didn't say anything. She continued placing the ornaments, but her movements were slower, as if she was thinking carefully. Lily watched her and felt the idea in her heart grow a little bigger. Over the next several days, Lily paid extra attention to both her father and Mei Lin. She noticed things she had never focused on before. Her father's tired eyes after work, his quiet sighs while making dinner, the way he stared at the empty chair at the table. She also noticed how Mei Lin looked out the shop window when the day grew dim, her expression calm, but with a lonely softness around her eyes. Seeing the same sadness in both of them made her more certain that they needed something, or maybe someone, that could bring warmth back into their lives. But Lily was just a child, and she didn't know how adults made friends. She didn't know how to introduce two grown-ups who had both lost so much. She only knew what her heart told her, people need people, and sometimes lonely hearts were meant to meet. As she walked home one afternoon, she kicked gently at the snow with each step, trying to figure out exactly what to do. The tiny idea kept whispering to her, bring them together. But how? That evening, while she sat drawing at the coffee table, Mark glanced over at her. He noticed she had been quiet, deep in thought. Sweetie, everything okay? He asked gently. Lily nodded. I'm just thinking. About what? He asked, sitting down across from her. She wanted to tell him everything, but she also wanted the surprise to be special. She didn't want to ruin it by saying too much too soon. Christmas, she said, and what people really want. Mark smiled sadly. What do you think people want for Christmas? Something that makes them feel warm inside, she answered honestly. He nodded slowly. That's a good answer. But Lily could tell her father didn't expect anything warm for himself. He thought Christmas would be simple and quiet, just like the year before. She wanted more for him. She wanted something that would make him smile again, not the small, polite smiles he forced to keep her happy, but a real smile, one that reached his eyes. Later that week, Mei Lin decided to teach Lily how to paint small wooden ornaments. They sat together at the counter with tiny paintbrushes, dipping them into soft colors. The room smelled of paint and tea, and soft music played softly from a small radio. You're very good at this, Mei Lin said as Lily carefully painted a line. I'm trying, Lily said, concentrating hard. Careful hands make beautiful work, Mei Lin added gently. As they painted, Lily asked, What did you wish for when you were a little girl? Mei Lin paused, thinking. I wished for simple things, peaceful days. Time with the people I loved, and sometimes I wished that lonely people would find someone who understood them. Lily almost dropped her brush. That's a good wish, she said quietly. It is, Mei Lin agreed. That was the moment Lily knew for sure. Her growing plan was good, meaningful, and important. But she still had to figure out how to make it happen. The answer came in the most ordinary moment. One evening when Lily and Mark were walking home from grocery shopping, they passed the little shop. Mei Lin was inside, setting wrapped boxes on a shelf. She looked up and saw them. She smiled warmly and waved. Before Mark even realized it, Lily waved back excitedly, so enthusiastically that she almost dropped the bag she was carrying. Mark looked at her, surprised. Is that the shop you always talk about? Yes, Lily replied, unable to hide her excitement. Mei Lin stepped outside, her coat wrapped snugly around her. She approached them with a gentle smile. Hello, she said kindly. You must be Lily's father. Mark blinked, unsure of what to say. Yes, I'm Mark. I'm Mei Lin, she introduced herself softly. Your daughter has been visiting my shop. She brings a lot of sunshine with her. Lily beamed, proud that Mei Lin said something so kind. Mark felt a bit shy, but he smiled politely. Thank you for being kind to her. She is a wonderful child, Mei Lin replied. Something warm passed between them, a simple moment, innocent and gentle, but Lily felt like she was witnessing something important. After a brief chat, they said goodbye and walked home. Lily couldn't stop smiling. Her plan, whatever it was becoming, felt closer than before. It felt real. Later that night, tucked into bed with her blankets pulled up to her chin, Lily understood what she needed to do. She needed to bring them together, truly together, not just a quick hello on the sidewalk, not just an accidental meeting. She wanted her father and Mei Lin to sit together, talk, share warmth, and maybe, just maybe, help each other feel less alone. Christmas Eve, that was the perfect moment. Her heart fluttered with excitement as she whispered to herself, "I will bring them together on Christmas." The next day at the shop, Lily took a deep breath and began planning. She asked Mei Lin, "Do you close early on Christmas Eve?" "Yes," Mei Lin replied. "I usually close in the afternoon. Why do you ask?" Lily thought carefully about her words. "Do you do anything after closing?" Mei Lin shook her head gently. "No, I spend the evening alone. I usually cook something warm and listen to music." Lily looked down at her hands. "Would you like to come to my house that day?" Mei Lin's eyes widened slightly. "To your home?" "Yes," Lily said softly. "Just for a little bit. I think it would make my dad happy." Mei Lin didn't answer right away. She looked thoughtful, a little surprised and touched. She knelt down so her eyes were level with Lily's. "Are you sure?" she asked gently. "Christmas is a special time for family." "You're special to me," Lily whispered, "and my dad, he needs someone kind." Those simple words made Mei Lin's heart tighten with emotion. She placed a hand gently on Lily's shoulder. "If your father agrees, I would be honored to visit," she said softly. A wave of relief washed over Lily. That was all she needed, one yes. Now she just needed her father to agree. That night, Lily approached her father while he was washing dishes. She tugged gently at his sleeve. "Daddy," she said softly, "can someone come over on Christmas Eve?" Mark turned confused. "Who do you want to invite?" "A friend," she replied carefully. He smiled. "From school?" "No," Lily said. "From the shop." Mark paused, understanding. "Mei Lin?" "Yes," Lily whispered. "She's very kind, and she'll be alone. And I think it would make you feel warm inside." Those words broke something gently open in Mark's heart. He didn't fully understand, but he saw the sincerity in his daughter's eyes. He didn't want to say no to something that clearly meant so much to her. "Okay," he said softly. "She can come." Lily's heart soared. She couldn't believe it. Her plan, her small, hopeful Christmas plan, was becoming real. As Christmas Eve drew nearer, Lily felt excited every single day. She imagined the moment when both would meet properly, talk, share stories, and maybe even laugh. She imagined the room filling with warmth instead of quiet. She imagined her father smiling, truly smiling, for the first time in a long time. She didn't expect miracles or magic. She just wanted two lonely people she cared about to feel less alone. And she believed with all her heart that Christmas was the perfect time for such a gift. Little did she know that her simple wish was about to change all their lives in a way she could never have imagined. Christmas Eve arrived with a soft, peaceful quiet across the neighborhood. Snow had fallen gently throughout the night, covering rooftops, lawns, and streets in a smooth white blanket. The world looked calm and pure, as if everything had been washed clean and dressed in winter's finest clothes. Lights glowed warmly from windows, and the air carried a faint scent of pine, cinnamon, and something hopeful. Inside the Thompson home, Lily was buzzing with excitement. She woke up earlier than usual and immediately ran to the living room to make sure everything was in place. The small Christmas tree stood in the corner, decorated with simple ornaments and a few crafts she had made with Mei Lin. It wasn't fancy, but to Lily it was perfect because it held pieces of her heart, her memories, and her hope. She hurried to her father's room and gently knocked on the door. "Daddy," she whispered loudly through the door, "today is Christmas Eve." Mark sleepily opened the door a moment later, rubbing his eyes. "Good morning, sweetheart." She threw her arms around him. "It's going to be a special day." He smiled softly, though he didn't fully understand what she meant. For him, Christmas Eve still carried a mixture of warmth and sorrow. He tried hard to be cheerful for Lily, but a part of him always felt heavy during this season. Still, seeing her excitement helped him start the day with a bit more hope. Throughout the morning, Lily helped her father decorate the table, arrange small bowls of sweets, and clean the living room. She wanted everything to look nice, but not fancy. She knew Mei Lin didn't need anything grand, she just wanted the place to feel welcoming. As they worked, Mark noticed Lily kept looking at the clock. "Is someone coming early?" he asked. "No," Lily said with a tiny smile. "I'm just excited." Mark ruffled her hair gently. "I'm glad you're happy," she nodded, but inside her heart felt like it was glowing. She hoped everything would go perfectly, but she also knew that even if things went differently than expected, the kindness behind the moment mattered most. Meanwhile, in her tiny shop across town, Mei Lin was preparing to close earlier than usual. She had never closed on Christmas Eve before afternoon, but today felt different. Today, she had an invitation that warmed her heart. She carefully wrapped a small box with red paper and tied it with a thin golden ribbon. Inside was something she had made herself, something simple, thoughtful, and full of meaning. She placed the gift gently into a small bag and looked around her shop as if saying goodbye for the day. Then she put on her warmest coat, locked the door, and stepped outside. The cold air touched her cheeks, but she didn't mind. She walked slowly, holding the small bag in her hand, each step filled with a mixture of nervousness and warmth. Back at the house, Lily jumped when she heard the doorbell ring. "She's here," she whispered loudly, though she tried to keep her voice calm. Mark raised an eyebrow. "Sounds like you've been waiting for this," she nodded quickly. Her heart felt like it was thumping fast enough to make her bounce. Mark walked to the door and opened it. There stood Mei Lin, wrapped in a soft beige coat, a hint of rosy pink on her cheeks from the cold. She held a small paper bag in her hands and smiled politely. "Good evening," she said softly. Mark blinked, surprised by how graceful and warm she looked. "Hello, Mei Lin, please come in, welcome to our home." She stepped inside gently, as if being careful not to disturb anything. Lily immediately ran to her and hugged her around the waist. "You came," Lily said with excitement. "Of course," Mei Lin replied, placing a gentle hand on her head. "I promised I would." Mark watched the interaction, noticing the affection between the two. It made him smile, even if quietly. "Can I take your coat?" he asked politely. "Yes, thank you," she said, removing it and handing it to him. The living room glowed softly with warm lights from the Christmas tree, and the quiet space felt comforting. Mei Lin took a moment to admire the decorations. "Your home is very lovely," she said gently. "We tried our best," Mark replied. "Lily did most of the decorating." At that, Lily giggled proudly. Mark guided Mei Lin to the small dining table where he had placed tea, cookies, and a few warm snacks. The three of them sat together, creating a picture of gentle warmth, a father, a daughter, and a kind woman who had brought light into their quiet world. For a few minutes, the room was filled with soft conversation. Lily talked happily about her day, about school, and about the small crafts she made. Mei Lin listened with kindness, nodding and smiling, adding gentle thoughts here and there. Mark mostly listened at first, trying to understand the connection that had formed between his daughter and this woman. He noticed how calm and comfortable Lily seemed around Mei Lin, how her eyes sparkled, and her smile stretched wider. He also noticed how Mei Lin radiated softness, her voice calm, her gestures delicate, her presence gentle. Eventually, the conversation shifted. "Lily tells me you make beautiful ornaments," Mark said. Mei Lin nodded modestly. "I enjoy creating things with my hands. It brings me peace. She's really good at it," Lily added. "She taught me how to make paper stars." Mark smiled warmly. "Then I should thank you. Lily has been happier these past few weeks." Mei Lin looked touched by the compliment. "She brings happiness with her wherever she goes. I only offer her a quiet place to rest." There was a brief, warm pause. Then Mei Lin reached into the small bag she had brought. "This is for you and Lily," she said, placing the little wrapped box on the table. "A small gift." Lily gasped quietly. "A present?" "You didn't have to," Mark said softly, moved by the gesture. "I wanted to," she replied. Lily carefully unwrapped the box with small, eager fingers. Inside was a hand-carved wooden ornament shaped like a heart, decorated with tiny painted scenes. One side showed a small house under falling snow, and the other side showed a blooming flower, symbolizing hope after cold seasons. "It's beautiful," Mark said quietly, holding the ornament gently. "It means," Mei Lin explained softly, "that even after the coldest winters, something new and warm can begin." There was a moment of silence, not uncomfortable, but full of emotion. It felt as if her words touched something deep inside Mark, something he had kept guarded for a long time. Lily, however, understood the meaning instantly. She looked back and forth between her father and Mei Lin, her heart swelling with joy. After a little while, Mark offered both of them warm drinks, and they sat in the living room. The lights from the Christmas tree created soft patterns on the walls. The room felt gentle, safe, and almost magical in a quiet way. Lily sat between them for a while, but eventually she moved to sit on the floor, coloring quietly so the adults could talk. She didn't leave them alone completely. She didn't want to miss anything, but she wanted them to have space to get to know each other. Mark and Maylin talked softly about work, about traditions, about memories of past holidays. Their voices blended calmly with the soft ticking of the clock in the corner. At one point, Mark shared a memory about Emma, the way she used to decorate the house every year, humming Christmas songs as she worked. His voice trembled slightly, but he continued. "I don't talk about her much," he admitted gently, "because it still hurts. But this year, I'm trying to find a little warmth again, for Lily." Maylin listened with full attention, her eyes filled with empathy. "I understand more than you know," she said quietly. "It's hard to lose someone who filled your world with light. But you're doing a beautiful job. You're giving your daughter love, even when it's hard for you." Her words touched him deeply, more deeply than he expected. He didn't realize how much he needed someone to understand him, not just politely, but truly understand. Meanwhile, Lily watched them from the corner of her eye, feeling happiness bloom in her chest. They were talking. They were opening up. They were sharing warmth. Her heart felt so full that she almost couldn't sit still. As evening grew deeper, they shared simple laughter, gentle smiles, and warm stories. Little by little, the house no longer felt like a place of quiet sadness. It felt alive again, filled with soft joy and gentle connection. At one point, Lily stood up, walked to her father, and took his hand. "Daddy," she said sweetly, "do you like your Christmas present?" Mark looked down at her. "What present?" She smiled brightly and pointed at Maylin, just like the title she had imagined in her mind. "This one," she said with shining eyes. "I brought you a present for Christmas." Mark froze for a moment. Soft surprise filled his face as he looked at Maylin, then back at Lily. The realization made his heart squeeze gently. He understood now. All her planning, her excitement, her glowing little heart, this was her gift. A gift made of kindness, hope, and love. Maylin's eyes softened, touched by the innocence and sincerity of the moment. Mark knelt down and hugged his daughter tightly. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "This is a very special gift." The warmth of that moment filled the entire room like the glow of a fire on a cold night. And while no one said it aloud, three hearts understood something very important. This Christmas Eve was the beginning of something new. A gentle beginning, a hopeful beginning, a beautiful beginning. The night continued with soft conversation, warm drinks, quiet stories, and a tenderness that wrapped itself around them like a soft blanket. For the first time in a long time, none of them felt alone. The morning after Christmas Eve felt different in the Thompson house. It felt lighter, softer, as if a gentle breeze had swept through overnight and carried away some of the heavy sadness that had lived there for so long. When Lily opened her eyes, she felt a warm excitement spread through her chest. Not the same kind of excitement she usually felt about presents under the tree, but a deeper, calmer one. She remembered the way her father smiled the night before. Not the small, tired smile he usually managed, but a real one, a smile that reached his eyes and softened his expression. She remembered the way Maylin sat with them, drinking warm tea and sharing stories that filled the quiet spaces in the room. It felt like something important had happened, something gentle but strong enough to change everything. Lily got out of bed quietly, tiptoeing down the hallway. She found her father sitting on the couch with a cup of coffee, staring at the ornament Maylin had given them. He held it gently, like it was something precious. "Good morning, Daddy," she said, crawling up next to him. He smiled at her, a warm smile that made his eyes look softer. "Good morning, sweetheart." She saw the ornament in his hand and leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you like it?" she asked. "I love it," he said. "It's one of the most meaningful gifts I've ever received." She smiled, feeling proud. For a moment they sat quietly, enjoying the calm morning light shining through the window. Snow still covered the world outside, making the whole neighborhood look peaceful. "Daddy," Lily said softly, "did you like your big present?" Mark glanced at her, pretending to think. "Your big present, you mean the cookies you baked?" She giggled. "No." "Oh, then maybe it was the Christmas drawing you made." "No," she said again. Mark smiled and looked gently at her. "You mean Maylin?" Lily nodded, her eyes shining with hope. "Did you like her?" Mark took a slow breath, trying to find the right words. "I did, she's very kind." And warm and thoughtful, she's the kind of person who makes a room feel peaceful. I knew you'd like her, Lily said proudly. He wrapped his arm around her and held her close. Thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for caring so much. I just want you to smile again, she whispered. I want your heart to feel warm. It does, Mark whispered back, more than you know. The house stayed quiet for a moment, filled with the kind of silence that felt comfortable, like a soft blanket on a winter morning. Later that day, after breakfast, Lily sat at the table drawing while Mark cleaned up. As she colored a small heart on her paper, she wondered what Mei Lin was doing. She hoped she wasn't spending Christmas alone. The thought made her feel a little sad, but then another idea bloomed inside her, soft, gentle, but strong. Daddy, she said, tapping her pencil on the table, do you think we could visit Mei Lin today? Mark looked up, surprised. You want to visit her? Yes, Lily replied. I don't want her to be alone, and I kind of miss her. She expected her father to hesitate to think it over, but instead he nodded slowly. I think that's a good idea, he said. She gave us such a thoughtful gift. It would be nice to see her again. Lily grinned widely, her excitement growing. They bundled up in warm coats and scarves, stepping outside into the cold winter air. The snow crunched under their boots as they walked, leaving a trail of little footprints and big ones behind them. The sky was pale blue and soft sunlight glowed over the rooftops. When they reached the small shop, they found the windows decorated with small ornaments and twinkling lights. The shop was closed, but Lily spotted a light on inside. She tugged gently at her father's sleeve. She's there, she said softly. Mark nodded and knocked gently on the door. A moment later, Mei Lin appeared, wrapped in a cozy sweater, her hair tied loosely behind her. She looked surprised, then touched by the sight of them standing outside her shop on Christmas morning. Merry Christmas, she said with a gentle smile as she opened the door. Merry Christmas, Lily chirped, stepping inside quickly. Mark nodded politely. We hope we're not disturbing you. Not at all, Mei Lin replied softly. I'm happy to see you both. The shop was warm and filled with the soft smell of tea and wood. It looked peaceful, just like always. Lily wandered in like she belonged there, touching little ornaments and humming softly. I wanted to thank you, Mark said to Mei Lin gently, for last night. It meant a lot to both of us. It meant a lot to me too, Mei Lin said quietly. I haven't spent Christmas Eve with anyone in a very long time. There was a softness between them, quiet but clear. Two adults who had carried loneliness for years had finally shared a moment of warmth, and it had changed something inside them. While Mei Lin poured tea for them, Lily explored the shop, stopping at a small table where a new set of ornaments were drying. They looked beautiful, each one painted with tiny winter patterns. Lily traced her finger near one, not touching it, just admiring. These are pretty, she said when Mei Lin came to join her. Thank you, Mei Lin replied. I made them this morning. Mark walked over, holding his warm cup of tea. You've got a real gift, he said gently. Mei Lin lowered her eyes, a shy smile touching her lips. Thank you. Creating things helps me feel calm. Your work makes other people feel calm too, Mark said softly. Your shop feels like a peaceful world. There was a gentle pause. Then Mei Lin said, You and Lily bring warmth too. Yesterday felt special. Mark nodded. It did. Lily, sensing the warmth between them, felt her heart glow. She didn't say anything. They were adults, and she didn't want to interrupt, but she felt proud, happy, and full of hope. They stayed at the shop for a while longer, sharing soft conversation, warm tea, and quiet laughter. It wasn't loud or festive, but it was the kind of Christmas day that wrapped itself around your heart, a gentle kind, made of small moments and real connection. Eventually, Mark said, Would you like to join us for dinner tonight? We're making something simple, but it would be nice if you came. Mei Lin looked touched, almost deeply moved. I would love that, she said softly, and Lily beamed, feeling like the happiest little girl in the world. That evening, Mei Lin came over carrying a small dish she had made herself. The three of them shared a meal, talked, laughed softly, and found comfort in being together. It felt natural, like something that was always meant to happen. As they sat at the table, the glow of the Christmas tree filled the room with soft light. Lily couldn't help smiling at both of them, feeling like her heart was as warm as the lights around her. Over the next weeks, things continued to grow naturally. There was no rush, no pressure, just simple moments shared together. Sometimes Mei Lin invited them for tea at her shop. Sometimes Mark and Lily invited her to dinner. Sometimes they went for walks together in the snow. And each time, something soft and warm grew between them. Lily noticed her father smiling more often. Not the forced smile he used to put on for her, but a real one, a smile filled with gentleness. She noticed that he looked less alone, and she noticed Mei Lin looking happier too, her eyes brighter, her voice lighter. One peaceful afternoon in January, as they all walked together in the quiet neighborhood, Lily held both of their hands. She looked up at them and whispered, "See, you're both smiling." Mark squeezed her small hand gently. "Yes, we are." Mei Lin smiled down at her warmly. "You have a gift, Lily. You bring hearts together." Lily felt her cheeks warm with pride. As the months passed, the connection between Mark and Mei Lin slowly grew stronger. Not forced, not rushed, just naturally, like a flower opening when it's ready. They talked more, shared more, and slowly learned to lean on one another. They didn't try to replace the people they had lost. Instead, they learned to carry their memories lovingly while building something new together. And Lily, with her bright little heart, watched them with quiet joy, knowing she had helped something beautiful bloom. By the time the next Christmas came around, the Thompson house felt completely different. It was filled with warmth, laughter, and the soft glow of shared love. Mei Lin was there with them, helping decorate the tree, placing gentle ornaments on the branches, telling stories while Lily danced around placing stars and ribbons everywhere. Mark watched them with a heart full of gratitude, feeling blessed in a way he hadn't felt for years. And Lily, hugging the ornament Mei Lin had given them the year before, whispered softly to herself, "This is the best present," because she knew, deep in her heart, that the greatest gifts were the ones that brought people together, the ones made of kindness, hope, and love. And on that Christmas day, surrounded by family, warmth, and gentle smiles, she knew her wish had come true.